Hey guys, welcome to my legal classes. This is Ganesh Pujari, and in the series of Evidence Act, now that we are logging into chapter 6, which is all about the exclusion of oral by documentary evidence. This is covered between section 91 to 100. When you are studying any law, there will be few not so important sections, few important sections, and then there are few very important sections. And when we are coming to the Evidence Act, section 91, which is what we are going to discuss today, is one of the most important section, which discusses about evidence of terms of contracts, grants and other disposition of property reduced to form of document. Now I am going to discuss few important sections before we get into section 91, because we need to recollect what we have already studied, and those sections are directly or indirectly connected to section 91. So I have one slide for that, and then I have a beautiful chart which is going to explain everything about section 91. Then I will give the legal provision of section 91, and then there are few important case laws. Before getting into slide 1, remember there is a direct connection between section 91 and 92. So it is a must that you have to watch both the videos, that is this session which is on section 91 and the next session which is on section 92, and the remaining section as usual I will cover. I will remind you that we have covered every single section from the Evidence Act till now, and by my future classes all of the sections are going to be covered. With that, I am taking you to the first slide. Before getting into section number 91, we need to recall few very important sections that we have already discussed. What we learnt yesterday cannot be forgotten, because only with the strong base we can learn a new section today. That is the major funda for any law subject. Now, when we are getting into section 91, we need to remember two important sections from chapter 4, that is from oral evidence, where section 59 discusses about proof of facts by oral evidence, and that clearly says all facts except the content of documents or electronic records may be proved by oral evidence. See the exception part. Anything that is related to the content of documents or electronic records cannot be proved by oral evidence. That is the gist of section 59. Otherwise, every other facts can be proved by oral evidence. Then comes section 60. This says oral evidence must be direct. So if there are any oral evidence are given, it should not be hearsay, it should be direct. That's what section 60 discusses about. Now, if you are moving to chapter 5, which is all about documentary evidence, there I am taking 5 important section reference, that is section number 61, which discusses about proof of content of documents. This is a very easy section which says the content of documents may be proved either by primary or secondary evidences. So there are two types of evidences discussed, and section 62 defines what is primary evidence and section 63 defines what is secondary evidence. Then comes section 64. This says proof of documents by primary evidence. So if there are any documents to be proved, they need to be primary evidence except for the exceptions which are given under section 65. And section 65 gives in what circumstances secondary evidences can be given. That is about section 65. Now, I will also take a reference of a section from chapter 10, which is the examination of witnesses, where we are going to discuss section 144, which discusses about evidence as to matters in writing. This particular section refers both section 91 and 92. How is that? We will discuss when we are discussing section 144. Now, if you observe, there are two sections which are in green font, that is section 60 and section 64. Section 60 says oral evidence must be direct. Section 64 says proof of documents by primary evidence. That is, documents must be proved by primary evidence or original documents only. These two are the examples for best evidence. When we are discussing about best evidence rule, there are three important sections, that is section 60 where oral evidence must be direct, Then section 64 where the primary evidence or the original documents are the best, and then comes section 91. Now what is section 91? Let's learn in this video. This is the chart I was referring for section number 91. Now, as I said, when we are discussing about best evidence rule, we have to remember three important sections, that is section 60, 64 and section 91. Section 91 discusses about evidence of terms of contract, grants and other dispositions of property reduced to form of documents. The discussion starts when the proof is related to the terms of contract or grant or any other disposition of property. Now, if it is related to the terms of contract or grant or any other disposition of property, and these terms have been reduced to the form of document because law requires the same. That is very important aspect one need to observe. Why this has converted into documents? Because it is required by law. Now for example, the Transfer of Property Act section 54 or the section 17 of Registration Act, all of them are saying the same needs to be in the form of document. I am going to discuss these sections in my next slide, but these are the few sections which are saying that the terms need to be in the form of document. And that's the first requirement. What comes next? Now there is a case in front of the court, and the question in front of the court is related to the term of contracts or related to grants or other dispositions of property. Now here what happens, there is a question in front of the court related to certain aspects of that particular document. Now that content is in discussion. In that case, what is the proof that we need to give to court? That is what answered under section 91. And what is that proof? You have to read the green box now. The documents alone will be considered as proof. You cannot tell any story in front of the court. You have to give the documents, and documents will speak for themselves. That is the best evidence rule. If it is related to the terms of contract or grants or any other dispositions of the property, and if it is in document which is as required by law, and if there are any questions, in that case the documents alone will be considered as proof. Saying so, there are three important exceptions. The first one comes in the section itself, then they have given two other exceptions. What comes in the section itself? The section says secondary evidences can be given as discussed under section 92. There are certain amount of exceptions which are given under section 92, which is what we are going to discuss. And remember, I have already told there is direct connection between section 91 and 92. You cannot separate them. They are going hand in hand. That is very important exception we need to understand. And then if the question is related to public officers appointment, there we need not to produce any document. It is understood that all that related to public officers appointment is done in a right way. There we need not to give any kind of document. That is the second exception. And the last one, if the question is related to a probate as against will, in that case probate is a valid proof. These are the three important exceptions that we need to remember. The final part of section 91 discusses about three important explanations. The first explanation says if there are more than one document, in that case section 91 applies to all those documents. What is this? Imagine A and B are businessmen. One is supplying the goods, the other one is buying the goods. Now they had one contract in the month of April, and again in the month of April they had one more contract. Now the question is related to the contracts between A and B. In that case, both the contracts need to be submitted to the court as a proof because it is related to the contracts. Here it is not one document, it is about multiple documents, and all of them need to be presented in original. The second explanation says if there are more than one original, in that case providing one original is sufficient as proof. What is this? Imagine A and B are businessmen and they had a contract in the month of January, and for the purpose of their safety and security, both of them kept one original copy each. In that case, bringing one original to the court is sufficient to prove. The previous example is about multiple contracts. There the copies of multiple contracts need to be given. In the second explanation, we are discussing about the same contract but multiple originals made. In that case, one original is sufficient. Don't get confused there. That's about the first and second explanations. Coming to the last one. Here what happens, we are discussing about the terms of contract, terms of grant or any other dispositions of property. What about other documents? Are they exceptions under section 91? The third explanation says they are not exception. It says other documents which are not mentioned here in this sections are not automatic exception to this particular section. This is not legal language. This is what I have brought in simple English. Now let's try look at the legal wordings of section 91. I'm not going to read out them. You can, for the purpose of notes, capture the sections. I will show in next 2 slides. This is section 91 legal language, and I have told there are 3 exceptions. The first one I have given in red font, which gives exception as under section 92. It gives a hand to section 92 from here, and from there I will pick my next video, and the other 2 exceptions are given here in this page. Explanations are in the next page. Now what are the other sections that we need to refer? I have given here Transfer of Property Act section 9 is very important, which discusses about oral transfer where there is no requirement of documents whenever it is not required by law. Then section 54 is very important, which says if there are tangible immovable property of more than 100 rupees value, they need to be in documentary form. That is very important. When I say documentary form, they need to be in registered instrument. And coming to the Registration Act section 17, it very clearly says documents of which registration is compulsory. So these are the few sections you can refer. These are not the only sections. These are few important sections. There are many sections and I am not getting into them right now. Let's see the 3 explanations in next slide along with few illustrations. You can make a note of 3 explanations which are given here, and then comes 5 important illustrations. I will pick 2 illustrations before going to the case laws. Now I am picking illustration A and C because while explaining explanation 1 and 2, I have made it very clear, but even then if you have any confusion, these 2 illustrations will clarify it in detail. Now illustration 1 says, if a contract be contained in several letters, all the letters in which it is contained must be proved. Now what happens? There are several letters which is part of a particular contract. In that case, these several letters are having different contents. So they all need to be produced. That is for explanation 1 when there are more than 1 documents. So all of them need to be produced. Now coming to illustration C, it discusses about if a bill of exchange is drawn in set of 3, one only need to be proved. Now there is more than 1 original document. This is a bill of exchange and 3 originals are taken. Now proving any one or giving any one as evidence is sufficient. That is when there are multiple originals of the same document is available, which is what discussed under explanation 2. I hope that is very clear. With that, I am moving to the case laws. Coming to the case laws, the first one that I am discussing here is Emperor versus Gulabu, where it was held that confession made by an accused to the magistrate is a matter needs to be recorded in writing. because there can be change from magistrate to magistrate, or when it is appealed to a higher court, again the new court has to see. So everything happened in the court needs to be reduced to writing. That is what discussed here. The second case law, that is Sheikh Mohammed Ibrahim versus Bibi Mariam. Here in this case law, it was held that a valid waqf can be created without writing, but if once it is taken into writing form, in that case, if there are any dispute related to that waqf, the documentary proof is very, very important. Then you cannot go back and say there are no documents. Once the documents are created, if there are anything related to terms of disposition, etc., then you need to produce the document, which is what held in this particular case law. The third case law, that is Tulsi versus Chandrika Prasad. Here the Supreme Court held that Section 91 of Evidence Act mainly forbids proving of the contents of writing otherwise than by writing itself, and merely lays down the best evidence rule. However, it does not forbid the parties to adduce evidence in a case the deed is capable of being construed differently to show how they understood the same. Now, this case law is helpful for us to go to section 92, because this discusses about exceptions, which is what exactly we are going to discuss in our next video. The last part that I am discussing is a very, very important aspect for those who are going to practice civil law. Now, what happens in Hindu partition? There are two important case laws that you can refer. The first one comes in the form of Roshan Singh versus Zail Singh. Here in this case law, it was held that a partition may be effected orally, but if it is turned into document, in that case the document will be the primary evidence. The second case law, that is Hansraj Agarwal versus Chief Commissioner of Income Tax. Here also this is a 2002 case where oral partition is considered as valid partition. Now, if you see the timeline, one comes in the year 1988, the other one comes in the year 2002, and they both say oral partition are valid, and the first case law says if it is registered, then the document will be considered. But now there is an amendment in the Hindu Succession Act, that is section 6 clause 5 of Hindu Succession Act very clearly says that partition means any partition made by execution of a deed of partition duly registered under the Registration Act 1908, or partition effected by a decree of a court. Now, either it need to be registered or it is a final decree, not a preliminary decree. If it is a final decree of a court, in that case the partition is completed. Now, when I am saying this particular clause, you can refer the case law of Vinita Sharma versus Rakesh Sharma, for which I have made several videos under the Hindu Succession Act playlist. Now, this is very important aspect one need to know. So that way, after 9/9/2005, the amendment of Hindu Succession Act, the Hindu partition now needs to be in documentary form only. Earlier, the oral partition were also valid. That is one very important aspect you need to remember. Now, if you see the registration under Registration Act or the decree, both are of documentary form. That is what we need to observe. And we need to remember that day by day, the documentary evidences are going to get more and more importance, or the electronic records are going to get more and more importance than the oral evidence. Wherever documents are available, in that case, the documents will speak for themselves. That is all the gist of section 91, which is what you need to remember. From here, I am taking you to section number 92.
Where is your strength? Is it here or here? Papa, what's your take?
Nishan, I think our strength lies in our mind. A healthy mind with good knowledge and a strong positive attitude help us to learn any kind of skills. So our strength, as per me, lies in our mind.
With that, I'm concluding this session. Please subscribe our channel. Please like, share and comment our videos. Thank you. Bye-bye.